We are in the middle of the decade of the comic book movie. I don't know what I'm going to do when it's over, actually. I don't know what kind of movies I'm going to end up reviewing. Anyway, this one is based on a 16-issue series of graphic novels by Hyung-Min Woo. It's almost exactly nothing like the comics, though, as far as I can tell. Shocker. For one thing, very few people in the movie actually have names. Paul Bettany from Legion is the priest of the title. He isn't the only priest, but he's the only one who has any lines, so close enough. There's apparently only one priestess, though. That's Maggie Q, who played Bad Girl Mai from Live Free or Die Hard, so at least calling her priestess isn't confusing. The plot, though, hinges around around Lucy Pace, played by Lily Collins from Blindside. She's lucky enough to have a first and last name, so to balance out the karmic scales, she's unlucky enough to become a kidnap victim. I think her last name is pronounced Pace. I don't remember anyone saying it, actually. Maybe it's pronounced Pace, as in the Latin for peace, as in rest in peace. I'm probably overthinking that. The point is, Lucy and her parents are attacked by a roving herd of vampires and Lucy is kidnapped. As Lucy is quick to point out, however, her uncle is a priest. The priest, in this case. And in this world, priests aren't quite what we think of as priests. They're vampire hunters. They're like regular priests also, I guess. They take vows of celibacy and dedicate their lives to the church, but mostly they hunt and kill vampires. Vampires aren't quite what we think of as vampires either, though. They seem to be a different species, for one thing. They like to drink blood, but they have no eyes, and apparently you're either born a vampire or you aren't. The vampires seem to be born out of these icky, slimy cocoon kind of things. It's pretty unpleasant. Anyway, the scary pale humans that have sharp teeth and thirst for blood are actually called familiars here. They're blood slaves to the actual vampires. Ghouls, I guess, if you want to use more traditional vampire terminology. Vampires, though, are also extinct, at least according to Monsignor Aurelius. He's played by Christopher Plummer, who was the voice of 1 and 9. It sounds like I'm talking about either the Borg from Star Trek or the Prisoner, doesn't it? Anyway, according to him, there is no more vampire menace. Pay no attention to that bloodsucker behind the airlock. The church, it seems, is in serious denial and also probably pretty jealous of the power and popularity of the priests. So clearly, Lucy is being held by plain old ordinary human bandits out in the wastelands. The lawman doesn't believe that, though, and he's out to rescue her. Wait, the lawman has a name, too, at least one name, Hicks. I assumed it was a last name, but maybe not since his girlfriend calls him that, too. Bonus points if you can guess who said girlfriend is. Hicks is the sheriff of the small town out in the wastelands that Lucy disappeared from. He's played by Cam Gigande. I'm not entirely sure I'm getting that name right, but that's how IMDb said it was pronounced anyway, so if it's wrong, blame them. The kidnapper is Black Hat, and by that I don't mean he's a hacker. He's played by Carl Urban, not acting very much like Bones from Star Trek, or much like William Cooper from Rad either, come to that. He makes a really good creepy vampire sort of person, though, I must say. But clearly, he isn't real, since there are no such things as vampires anymore, save for a relatively few being held in reservations. No one tries to claim that they're nice reservations, so at least they're not that hypocritical. They're about as nice as reservations ever are, so you can imagine. The priest, on the other hand, thinks that they are real and sets out to rescue Lucy as well, and Hicks insists on tagging along. He does a lot of nice tricks with guns and knives early on in the movie, but once he actually gets faced with vampires, Hicks really isn't much help anymore. Anyway, since the church knows there aren't any vampires, they gather up 3 other priests, 2 priests and the aforementioned priestess, and send them off after the first priest to tell him not to waste his time, because, they're just trying to be helpful. Okay, really, actually, they send the priests after the first priest to kill him for breaking his vow and leaving the horrible, dark, smoggy city to go out into the dry, desolate wastelands. There's really no nice place to live on this planet now that I come to think about it. I saw a headline for another review of this movie that said something about it being a terrible pastiche of various Western and sci-fi cliches. Well, first of all, I think someone's just showing off the fact that they know what the word pastiche means. But second of all, I think they missed the point. I thought that was half the fun. They took a little Blade Runner, a little of any Clint Eastwood Western you'd care to name, a little bit of Aliens, a little Mad Max, a little Tron, a little Logan's Run, a little Firefly. Actually, I guess a lot of Firefly now that I think about it. Threw in a good-sized helping of some vampire legends, mixed it all up, and actually came up with a really great setting. I know it sounds like a horrible mishmash of stuff that really shouldn't go together, but it actually all fits and it makes for a totally believable world. So it gets 3 3/4 out of 5. I was worried when it started out with one of those illustrated explanations of why the world was the way it was, since that's sometimes a sign that they're going to throw too much at you and you'll be left floundering trying to figure out what's going on. But no, not this time. It actually worked. Paul Bettany is a really good actor, for one thing. If anyone could have saved Legion, it would have been him. But even the people I didn't recognize did a really good job here. Many of the actors here have mainly TV credits, which is why I didn't recognize them. But just remember the church's 3 favorite words: faith, work, security, and you can go see this movie confident in the knowledge that the non-existent vampires will not get you.